Welcome to Beyond the Lab, a series by the Office of Career Development within the Biomedical Research, Education, and Training Department of the Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. My name is Kate Stewart, and I'm here today with Klarissa Jackson. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Jackson, you graduated in 2011 in pharmacology.
That's right.
So tell me what you did while you were at Vanderbilt.
So I worked in the laboratory of Dr. Jason Morrow. After his passing, continued with Dr. Jack Roberts, and we studied the formation and metabolism of reactive lipids under settings of oxidative stress.
So tell me what your path was since Vanderbilt to what you do now.
So I got a postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Washington, really thankful for that opportunity, and I was working in the lab of Dr. Sidney Nelson in the Department of Medicinal Chemistry, studying drug metabolism.
Okay, so what did you do after that?
So after that, so it was a 2-year postdoc, and then I got hired on in my current position at Lipscomb University College of Pharmacy.
Okay, so tell me what your role is there and what you do.
So I'm an assistant professor of pharmaceutical sciences. I teach some in the professional pharmacy program, but more so do research, laboratory research in the lab. Work with students, research students, and I really enjoy that. That's fun.
Okay, so if you had to do a pie chart of what you do when it's teaching and research, and how would you divide your time in your current role?
Yeah, so 75% of my time is research.
Okay.
75% of my effort, about 10 to 15%, maybe 15% is teaching, and then the remainder of that is service.
Okay.
So I have mostly a research effort.
Okay, great. So you probably had a lot to learn coming from your postdoc and now continuing in that academic position. What are some of the things that you wish you knew when you were in training at Vanderbilt that you know now that you wish you would have had that in your back pocket?
I think learning how to manage people. As a graduate student, that's really not something that you get experience doing. You're really just focused on your project and your work. But now as a lab supervisor working with students, really trying to understand how to manage people, learn their personalities, how to lead and motivate and encourage without being a micromanager, but really, really help them grow and develop as students and as researchers.
Okay. So tell me, what surprised you in your first year being in an academic setting in your current role? I mean, I know that it's different sort of going to that next step. What was that first year like?
I think the thing that was most surprising was the time balance. You're doing a lot of multitasking in an academic setting, and even though I'm more research than anything else, still going to committees, learning, okay, when is the faculty meeting? What committee am I on? What is our responsibility? And really just understanding the balance between being in the lab, being in a classroom, and serving. And honestly, understanding that teaching is more than just presenting, because you get a lot of experience doing that as a graduate student and even as a postdoc, and I really enjoy that. But teaching is more than just presenting slides. It's actually engaging the students, making sure they're learning, and so that was definitely a learning experience for me.
Okay. So what are some of the ways that you picked up skills when you were doing your graduate student and postdoctoral training that really helped your position now? Like, what are some of the things you would even encourage, trainees now to do?
Right. So I would say volunteer as much as you can for both student organizations, leadership positions, but also tutoring. I did tutoring while I was in graduate school. That's what helped me realize that I do like teaching, working with students, and mentoring. The other thing I would say is try to do a teaching certificate program. If you're interested in academia, if you're interested in teaching, that'll at least get you familiar with the terminology. That's another thing, that the education terminology is something I was very unfamiliar with. As a graduate student, I heard some of it during my postdoc training because I did a teaching certificate program.
Right.
But that terminology and then coming into an academic setting is really important to understand if you want to teach.
Okay. So tell me about your job search process. What was the academic job search process like for you?
Yeah, so may not be too traditional. Actually, when I was a graduate student here, I got acquainted with some friends and mentor at church, Lipscomb College of Pharmacy. I'd heard about Lipscomb, but towards the end of graduate school, learned that they were starting a college of pharmacy, and so some friends put me in touch with the dean and department chair, and they told me that they were trying to expand their research, especially in the pharmaceutical sciences. Well, that really interested me because I was a pharmacology graduate student, but I wanted to go ahead and do the postdoc to keep my options open and also get more of that research training in a specific area.
Sure.
So,
Okay. So clearly you had to do some networking, right? It's just sort of even organically. What are some of the ways that you network now, and what are some of your strategies personally?
So what I would have to say is networking for me is not always intentional. It's making connections, building relationships that I don't even imagine what they will develop into. I feel really blessed. God's blessed me with opportunities to meet people and also be in training programs. That's a thing that helps with networking. If you're already associated with a training program, a fellowship program, those kind of opportunities, the people that I've met that have been fortunate to meet through those have connected me to their colleagues who have opened other doors. But also, as I mentioned, through church, I mean, not a place that I'm going to network, going intentionally to network, but through those relationships, they introduced me to people that turned out to be my supervisors now, and I really appreciate those opportunities.
Okay. What do you wish you knew now, or maybe you could repeat it again if you were doing your training over?
Okay. Well, I think I wish someone would have told me, be careful what you commit to. I remember there was a time when I was trying to decide what postdoc position I had applied for, 2 fellowships, both opportunities I thought were really good, and I committed too early to one, but at the time I was saying, well, let me keep my options open. But when you commit, verbally or written, to a position, you have to take it. So that was a learning experience that I wish I would have been trained more on. Be open, honest, communicate with anybody you're looking to be hired by, and just let them know all the factors that you're considering before you have to make a decision. I would encourage students or trainees not to be pressured into making a decision. Think about it. Talk with the people who are involved in that process. Just let them know that these are the things I'm considering as factors.
Okay, that's great. Walk me through a typical day on campus, or let's go through your week. What is your, go through a Monday through Friday. Tell me what your week looks like.
Okay, so in the College of Pharmacy, our student pharmacists have most of their classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's when the bulk of their classes are. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm either in the classroom or observing a class or preparing to teach a class the subsequent days. We also have didactic courses. We also have teaching labs. So sometimes I'm in the teaching lab in the afternoon. But when it's not a heavy teaching time for me, I'm in the research lab, either working on an experiment by myself or training a research student to do that as well. So the week depends on the time in the academic semester.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm teaching more, other times I'm working one-on-one with students.
Okay, so how do you feel like this role is a great fit for you personally? You know, what are some of the skills that you possess that make you a great fit for your current role?
Well, I like to do research. I've learned that, understand that I really like to do research, but I also like working with students, mentoring students, helping encourage and empower them. And I really like that one-on-one or small group setting that you get in the lab. I also appreciate the values that the College of Pharmacy, that the Lipscomb University stands for, where they integrate faith and academic excellence is what we strive for. And so I appreciate that union and understanding that can happen in an academic setting.
That's great. Okay, so if you had one, words of wisdom, one sort of nugget for current trainees to just sort of stick with, what would that be?
Wow, that's a difficult question, but first of all, I would say trust your gut.
Okay.
When you are passionate about something, interested in a particular area, ask a lot of questions, but really trust your gut and your intuition in making that final decision, because I don't think you'll regret it. You said one. But the other,
Yeah,
another
the
one
other.
that I would say is just make connections, meet people. You never know what those connections will turn into. Sometimes they can be very fruitful. And so just be kind and make those connections with people.
Thank you so much for coming back. We loved having you.
Yeah, thank you.